What does the death of Jesus mean to you? What does the death of Jesus mean to you? Imagine a cross standing tall on a hill, illuminated by the warm glow of a golden sunset. The wind gently whispers through the air, carrying a calming sense of stillness. Soft, emotional instrumental music begins to play, creating a space for reflection. A narrator, speaking with a calm and reverent tone, asks, "Over 2,000 years ago, a man named Jesus was crucified. He was condemned unjustly, humiliated publicly, and suffered a painful death. But have you ever taken a moment to ask yourself, why? Why would someone endure such agony? And what does his death mean to you today?" Let us start by traveling back to a moment that forever changed the course of humanity. More than 2,000 years ago, in a small province of the Roman Empire, Jesus of Nazareth stood before a crowd. He was accused of crimes he did not commit. He was sentenced to death not for what he had done but for who he was and the truth he spoke. The crucifixion of Jesus was an act of unspeakable cruelty. Betrayed by one of his closest followers, beaten and mocked by soldiers, and deserted by many who called him teacher, he faced his final moments in unimaginable pain. Nails were driven into his hands and feet. He bore the weight of his body on a wooden cross under the burning sun. This moment of suffering is recorded in history, but beyond its brutality lies a purpose far greater than what the human eye could see. From the outside, it seemed like a tragic end for an innocent man. But in the spiritual realm, it marked the beginning of hope for all humanity. The question central to this moment in time is, why would Jesus willingly endure such pain? Could it be that his death was not merely an earthly event but the fulfillment of a divine plan? To understand, we must look at the concept of sin and its separation from God. Sin created a chasm, one that could not be breached by human effort. The laws and sacrifices of old fell short of restoring the relationship between humanity and God. What was needed was a perfect sacrifice, one final act of love and obedience capable of redeeming the brokenness of mankind. Jesus, in his divinity and humanity, accepted this role voluntarily. It was not the nails that kept him on the cross but his unwavering love for you, for me, for all of us. Picture the cross. It is simple in shape but profound in meaning. At first glance, it is a tool of execution, of death. But through Jesus, it transforms into a symbol of ultimate love and sacrifice. This act of surrender was for a purpose. Jesus chose to absorb the penalty of sin so that humanity could once again be reconciled with God. While his body bore physical pain, it was his spiritual suffering, taking on the weight of the world's sin, that makes his sacrifice truly incomprehensible. By hanging on the cross, Jesus demonstrated the highest form of love, a love willing to die so others may live. When we reflect on the cross, one theme emerges powerfully: redemption. To redeem means to buy back, to rescue what was lost. This is precisely what Jesus' death accomplished. Through his sacrifice, Jesus opened the door for every person, regardless of background, past mistakes, or brokenness, to find forgiveness and peace with God. This redemption is not earned by human works but is freely given as a gift of grace. His death was not the story of defeat but of a love powerful enough to overcome even death itself. In the face of despair, Jesus' death invites us to hope and new beginnings. The story of the cross does not end in death. 3 days after his crucifixion, Jesus rose from the dead, conquering the grave and proving that not even death can defeat the power of God. The resurrection magnifies the meaning of his death. It is a declaration of victory, a promise fulfilled. Through his resurrection, Jesus not only affirmed his divinity but offered humanity an invitation to eternal life. Death, once the ultimate enemy, is now a defeated foe. Jesus' triumph assures us that we, too, can live beyond the pain and struggles of this world if we trust in him. This brings us to a deeply personal question: what does all of this mean to you? The cross is not just an artifact of history or a distant theological concept. It is an invitation to experience transformation in your life. Jesus' sacrifice was not for someone else or other people. It was for you. It was for the moments when you feel unworthy, when guilt weighs you down, or when life feels hopeless. At the cross, you can lay down your burdens because Jesus carried them for you. His death asks something profound: will you trust him? Will you see in his sacrifice the ultimate expression of love? Understanding the meaning of Jesus' death calls us to live differently. The cross challenges us to reflect on how we treat others, the priorities we set, and the purpose we pursue. To live in light of the cross is to forgive others as we have been forgiven. It is to show compassion and love even when it is difficult. It is to prioritize God over selfish ambitions. Ultimately, it is to embrace a life that reflects the same self-giving love that Jesus displayed through his death. While the cross reminds us of our imperfections, it also reminds us of the grace that is available when we fall short. At the heart of Jesus' sacrifice lies the gift of grace. Grace is undeserved, unearned, and unconditional. It is God's way of saying, though you have sinned, I still love you. This grace is not limited, it covers our past mistakes, our present struggles, and gives us hope for the future. It allows us to approach God not with fear, but with confidence that we are loved. The cross teaches us that our worth is not defined by our failures, but by God's unchanging love. Take a moment to reflect on what the cross means to you. Close your eyes if you must. Imagine standing before the cross at that hilltop. What do you see? Do you see suffering, or do you see love? Do you sense a tragic ending, or an invitation to begin again? Jesus' death is a personal message to you, a declaration that your life matters. No matter where you are in your faith journey, the cross offers a place to anchor your soul. The death of Jesus was not the end. It was the beginning of a movement that continues to transform lives even today. The cross is a reminder that hope is always available, no matter how dark the circumstances. If you find yourself burdened by guilt, weighed down by struggles, or longing for peace, remember this: Jesus died so that you might have life, and have it abundantly. He endured the cross to show you that the love of God knows no limits. As we draw this journey to a close, let the cross be more than just a story from the past. Let it be a daily reminder of the depth of God's love for you and the hope that springs from his victory over death. The next time you see a cross, pause and reflect. It is more than wood and nails, it is a declaration of love, a promise of redemption, and an invitation to eternal life. Ask yourself each day, how will I live in response to the cross? Will I choose faith? Will I embrace grace? And will I let the meaning of Jesus' sacrifice shape the way I live and love? Closing visual. The scene fades back to the cross on the hill at sunset. The music gently fades, leaving a moment of silence. The narrator's coming voice offers one final thought. Jesus gave everything for you. What will you give in return? The cross is calling, will you answer? The screen fades to black with a single word, hope.